Welcome to Speakernomics, the official podcast of the National Speakers Association. I'm Kenneth Kinney, but friends call me Shark. And like you, I'm a professional speaker and I love listening to Speakernomics. Speakernomics is a professional speaker show that will help you thrive and grow a speaking business so you too can change the world, one keynote session workshop and speech at a time. And on this episode, we welcome Laurie Guest. And who is this guest of ours? Well, she is an author, a CSP, a CPAE Hall of Fame speaker with decades of experience in customer service excellence, and she's a below average cook. Laurie, welcome to Speakernomics. How are you today?
Hey, Shark, it's good to see you again.
Yes, ma'am. And I really appreciate that bio because it's so great to say a below average cook. So welcome to my club. Now, to all my speaking friends, what are you doing to truly serve your clients with service excellence? We all work in sales and marketing and operations as speakers. But what about how we serve our customers, our clients, our meeting planners? And what are the principles you could apply when the call comes to you? It should be that level of service you exhibit that may just in fact have a dramatic impact on the bottom line of your speaking business. And before we jump in, make sure to go to speakernomics.com. That's where you can find the tips, insights, and knowledge to help you become a better speaker, build a better business, and get paid to speak. Laurie, let's dive in. Number one, you've spent years of experience helping companies improve their customer experience through customer service. How have you applied those same principles to your own speaking business?
Well, sometimes walking our own talk is the hardest thing, don't you think? And so I try very hard to be a person of my word. If I say that things are going to come at a certain deadline, I try and beat that deadline. And I think one of our big secrets is to make quick turnarounds. I remember somebody asked me once, if they respond to an inquiry too quickly, let's say within the first 15 minutes of getting it, the question the speaker asked me is, do I look too desperate? Do I look like I'm just sitting there waiting for the phone to ring? And I've had entrepreneurs in other industries ask me the same question. A remodeler asked me one time, what if I call back too quickly? Do I look desperate? And the answer is no. You look like you're on top of things. And the sooner we can respond, the better the meeting professional appreciates it and the client appreciates it. My metaphor is that if you have a hole in your roof, Kenneth, and it's starting to rain, and you call a rougher, do you wish that he would take a week to call you back so he can prove to you how busy he is? Of course not. You want the rougher to call back and come same day if he can. And that is the attitude I've tried to take to my business, is be responsive and quick. And even if I'm on the road and can't get into a deep conversation, I can at least respond quickly to say, on the road, but got it. Let's set up a time for tomorrow. So the short answer is be responsive, be quick to the gun. To respond to what people are asking for.
Have you always been that way, or was that something you've sort of developed over time?
Well, in the beginning, I was that way because I wanted the business. But then over time, I realized my background was in healthcare, and we needed to respond to people quickly. My job was to answer questions about eye surgery. So if I've got a patient who's sitting on the other end scared and wondering, and I wait a couple days to respond, that's not going to do our practice any good. So I think I was conditioned at a very early age. When the note hits your desk, make the phone call. And I try to still do that today. During the busy season, that's sometimes challenging. I'm a one-woman show. I don't have people working for me. And so if I'm going to answer an email, I'm the one answering the email. Now, for those listening that are lucky enough to have a team, then you want your team member to certainly be on top of it and things aren't falling in the cracks. What I'm really surprised with, Shark, is how often the client on the other end is surprised and appreciative when I respond quickly. And that's always baffled me. That should be the norm, not the abnorm.
Laurie, before we start talking about what you're going to be speaking about at Influence, can you share a moment where applying a customer service mindset, if you will, helped you land more business or stand out to your clients?
I do have a great example of that. Early in my career, I spoke at an industry-specific conference. And when the conference was over, there was a great response to the program. So I went to the lady who was in charge and I said, look, the audience mentioned that they're really interested in XYZ. What if I come back next year and provide that to you? And I was young enough in my career that felt like a bold move. Today, I call it asking for the encore, and it's not revolutionary at all. But at that stage of my career, I thought that was a pretty smart idea. And she hesitated for just a moment, and I said that I would be happy to keep the same price. So there was no more negotiation. It was an easy yes for her. To make a long story short, she booked me 18 years in a row to come back to this association because of three things. I would check in with her every time before I left to say, here's what they're saying they're interested in for next year. So I was really pre-selling and asking for the encore on site. I kept that same number for the 18 years. So yes, I eventually raised my fees, of course, but I honored that number. It was too good to be true for her. So that became a very easy booking for me. And then eventually I created this mini following inside the conference that people said they would sign up for my class without even really knowing what it was, just because they had become followers. Some people call them fans. I like the word followers better. And so today I still carry through the idea that when I finish a job, I'm doing one of three things. I'm either asking for the encore, providing a new idea to the meeting planner they maybe hadn't thought of, or I give the referral to a colleague. I don't leave a gig without doing one of those three things.
So tell me, what is it you're going to be speaking about at Influence in Phoenix in 25?
We are doing a program that's called Keynote DNA Hall of Fame Edition. I'm super excited about this. I have lined up 6 Hall of Fame speakers who are going to show you 6 minutes out of their real programs. So many of us say, we'd like to see what people do in front of our real audiences, meaning not customized for speakers, but rather to our regular corporate and association audiences. And the fun part about this, I don't know if this has ever been done before, but I'm pretty excited about it. My creative idea was, it's a secret. Think mystery date. So you aren't going to know who the 6 speakers are. You just know that they're Hall of Famers. Let me tell you, Kenneth, I handpicked these people because I have seen each of them speak personally, and they are spectacular speakers who many of them haven't been on main stage before. So, or at least in a long time, I should say. And so what's going to happen is I will open this up, and we are going to show 6 elements that can be critical to a keynote. And the audience can just drop right in to 6 minutes of that Hall of Famer's speech. And I'm super excited about it.
Well, can you tell us what the elements are as part of that DNA?
I can. Strong open with the use of props, storytelling, interaction with an audience, crafting your message, a strong close, and content that connects. So those are going to be the 6 elements that you see. You just don't know exactly who's going to be presenting them. And then in between each one, I will do a 45-second to 1-minute debrief. So I might point out something specific that I liked that they did, or something you should watch for, or ask a probing question about how you might take that 6 minutes and apply something similar to the programs you do. So it's going to be really fast-paced. It's only an hour long, and we are going to be on the nose with our time. No running over. And so it's high energy. I think you and I were talking earlier how much we both like short segments. Well, this is absolutely short segments, one right after the other. We're not even making room for introductions or big applause. We're just going from section to section.
So at what point in your career did you start breaking down your own keynotes this way?
I did it pretty early on. I spoke for several years before I became a professional speaker as part of my corporate job, and I had some great mentors during that time. And my background was in healthcare, and you had to do some creative things to keep people engaged. Otherwise, it was very content heavy slides with a lot of bullets and a lot of words and a lot of heavy jargon. And the only way that I was going to keep people really engaged and learning and getting their continuing ed credits was to find creative ways to keep them engaged. And then once I found NSA, met all these amazing people who are so good at crafting keynotes, that I just became a study of what did that person do that kept me engaged, and what are the pieces of this. So I would say pretty early on, I started to add these elements. Now, again, I don't use every one of these elements every time. Sometimes it might be a 30-minute keynote and a crowd interaction where they get up off their feet. There just might not be room for that in that keynote. So these are 6 elements you can use, but you might have to pick and choose from them.
Who are the people that are coming with you on stage?
Yeah, you can try.
Give us one.
I'm not going to tell. It's a secret. It's a mystery date. But I'll tell you what we are going to do. And this is kind of fun too. I've created a wheel that's going to go out on social media. In fact, by the time this interview airs, it may already have popped out there. But the wheel has, I think, 18 or 20 names on it of Hall of Fame speakers. And you spin the wheel and it lands on a name. And then that name tells you whether they are or are not going to be one of the people on main stage. So if you pay attention to that and you spin the wheel enough times, by process of elimination, if you really care, you can find out who those names are in advance. But other than that, it's a well-kept secret.
Would you tell me if I'm close, if I gave you 5 consonants and 1 vowel and asked Vanna to turn the letters? So I've watched way too much Wheel of Fortune.
No, I won't. This is sort of like the CPAE night. For those who may be new to our association, and if this is your first time coming, please stay for the last night. It's the CPAE banquet, and those it can be up to 5 people that are getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. They keep those names a secret, or they try to. Usually the names leak out just a little bit, but it makes it really fun. So I decided to keep the names a secret, kind of in honor of that. Because you are going to see, the only guarantee is everybody coming out from the curtain has CPAE behind their name. So you know that they have to be quality presenters. And so that part is fun.
Now for a little speaking trivia, the National Speakers Association includes what 5 core values? Back with the answer in just a moment. Before we jump back to the show, here's a moment with NSA member, CSP, CPAE, past NSA president, and Cavett Award recipient, Phil Van Hoosier. Phil, what does being part of NSA mean to you in your speaking business?
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine having not been a part of NSA for the last 37 plus years. As I've told many over the years, I am a product of NSA. I came to NSA as a fledgling speaker, literally just starting out. And the reason I came to NSA is because they said to learn about professional speaking, you need to go where professional speakers hang out. Not as a club, but as a university, if you will, where we are sharing information and learning and asking questions and experimenting. And so I did those things. And amazingly, it worked. NSA was a great educational tool for me, but it didn't stop there. I remember early on in my NSA experience hearing senior NSA members at the time say, oh, some of my best friends in the world are NSA members. And I remember specifically thinking how pitiful that was because they only saw those people once or twice a year. Now, 37 years later, I can say some of my best friends in this world are NSA speakers. I get it now. And then the final thing, I've had the wonderful opportunity to, as a leadership speaker, advance and expand my own leadership understanding by way of leadership opportunities within NSA. The work that I've been able to do, both learning from and sharing with people, has been great. So your question about NSA and how I feel about NSA, trust me, I'm a disciple. I love the organization. It's been wonderful for me, for my business, and I trust that it can be wonderful for others as well.
And here's the answer. The National Speakers Association's core values include abundant generosity, elevating excellence, intentional language, uplifting humanity, and honorable innovation. And now, back to the show. So a question I want to ask you from a previous guest. We've often heard the idea of the dash poem, Linda Ellis. But what are you doing with your dash? What will be the meaning of your dash?
Oh, wow, that is a great question. Well, the first thing I would say is that I don't picture mine as a dash. I picture it much more like a roller coaster. And so it has not been the same all the way across. And I think that's true of all of us. There's ups and there's downs. So the first thing that came to my mind when I heard you say that is what I will do with the dash is ride the roller coaster and try to make sure that I remember the ups and not just complain about the downs. I really think that the big things that we learn about ourselves is how we come back up from the downs, whether that be in our business. And we certainly have had moments in our business where we're riding roller coasters. Some of us are doing that right now. And in our personal lives, we have roller coasters, and it's overcoming those downs that I think keep us in the game. So I guess that's my first reaction is I'm going to ride the dash up and down.
Well, then what is a question that you would like to ask a future guest on this show?
Yeah, I had to write it down. I'm glad you gave me notice I was going to do this. I put in future guest, here's my question for you. If your microphone could record one final message to the world after your last speech, what would it be?
That's very good. All right, well, let's do a quick recap then based on Laurie's service excellent advice. Number one, remember that it's about speed. Speed to respond, speed to answer their questions, speed to make sure that you make your customers, meeting planners, happy. Number two, bold moves are asking for the encore and asking for more, asking to come back, helping serve them in the future. For her, it led to, as one example, 18 years in a row with one group of follow-up gigs. When you finish, ask for the encore, provide a new idea to a meeting planner, or provide a referral to a speaking friend. And number three, the DNA to a keynote for her is 6 points. Strong open, storytelling, interaction with an audience, crafting your message, a strong close. Who's coming with her? Well, that number 7's a secret, but you got to go to Influence to see it. Laurie, I'm looking forward to seeing you at Influence in this amazing presentation. Any last closing thoughts before we speak ourselves off this stage?
Well, I know a lot of people always try to make a decision, should I go to Influence or not? And the answer is, it's not just about what's on stage. We say this all the time, but I want to remind everybody, it is about staying in the game and keeping your relationships strong. The best stuff happens in the hallways, and the only way you're going to be in the hallways with all the rest of us is to register, show up, and let's ride that dash.
Absolutely. Well, friends, make sure to join us at Speakernomics.com and let your voice be heard. I'm Kenneth Kinney, your host of the National Speakers Association's podcast, Speakernomics, and this has been another fantastic episode of the show. Thank you, Laurie, for your service to NSA and for lending your voice to the show. And to everyone listening, thank you for the privilege of your time. And remember, Speakernomics is a podcast where you'll learn to speak, get paid, repeat.